In 1964, the residents of Cape Elizabeth had an incredible amount of foresight and courage to buy this piece of land when it was decommissioned as an army base. And there was talk about housing development, campus for a college. There were many other choices. And it was at a time in our history when people weren't giving much regard for our past. And it occurred to me that once I learned more about what was going on at Fort Williams, it's important that we pass it along not only intact, but improved. It's a place where a maritime history, a military history, nature, all come together in one spot. We started to talk about the lack of public gardens in Cape Elizabeth. And then my good friend Sarah said, gee, I've always wanted an arboretum. Maybe Fort Williams would be a great place for an arboretum. And lo and behold, once we explored it, we found out that the park had been neglected horticulturally, views had disappeared. It was really something that had a great deal of importance and urgency.
I was the head of the horticulture department at SMCC for almost 30 years. And I used to be the tree warden here in Cape Elizabeth. It was a beautiful place, and it became overgrown with plants that are not necessarily good plants.
The intent really is to reclaim more than 7 acres of land within the 98-acre park, which have been taken over by invasive plants. Views have been lost and natural habitats have been destroyed.
I think one of the things that the Arboretum is trying to do is show people how beautiful native plants can be, how successful they can be in different environments. It will allow the native wildlife to find habitat.
The plant that was here probably just after the last glacier left and before the first peoples arrived. Those are the plants that we consider to be natives. Invasive plants are plants that got here one way or another, whether it was by mistake in the ballast of a ship or they were just brought here because people liked them. Norway maple is a really good example of that. And they became part of the landscape, except that they don't provide good food or habitat for the local or native animals, insects, birds, whatever it might be, and therefore they really just take away from the habitat.
It's been found that the native animal prefers to eat the native food, not only prefers, but has evolved eating that. So it's sort of like if we go out and just eat Belgium chocolates, we probably won't do so well. And that's what happens with the animals that come in here and use this as habitat.
When you have a native species of plant that has native predators, those are insects, for instance, that are capable of eating that plant. Without insects, we don't have things like pollination of plants. Without pollination of plants, we don't have things like fruit. The consequences may not seem to be huge, but they can be. As a result, we just simply, our environment will collapse.
Having a place like this where you can bring people and show them what plants are good, what plants are bad, how to care for the plants, as an educator, it's something that we just couldn't have a better place to teach people about plants.
Invasive, they just aren't good for the environment, and the natives are just forced out, and it's not good, and it's not as beautiful, and it just wrecked the environment.
The Arboretum will consist of 15 landscapes around the park. They will be connected by walkways, walking paths, some of which already exist, some will be created. We're hoping that all the invasive plants that are currently here will be removed and that the sites will be individual. There'll be different landscapes, different ecologies, and many will have a different focus.
I feel a sense of responsibility to give back, and I'm able to do it. It's really quite as simple as that, because it's a worthy project. It really matters for so many reasons, and it's something that I have to do.
The Arboretum was important because Fort Williams has always been an integral part of our life. Same with the woods, the trail systems. And being in the excavating business, we wanted to make sure that there's a balance between building and property that's available to the public.
The project won't work without volunteers. Dollars are short in budgets all over the state, all over the country, and so it's just something that wouldn't get done.
To volunteer to help out with a garden or to donate money to this project, it's something that's going to go on for generations and generations. Fort Williams is used for sledding, for baseball, for hiking, for sightseeing, for barbecues. Everybody uses it, and it is such a beautiful place.
I think that everybody has to sort of think about where they want to spend their money. And I think that this is a very important effort, and your money will be well spent. You can give of your time, and children can give. I think getting the community involved in this project at all ages just benefits everybody.
This particular project, the cliffside site, which will be done this summer, we put out a call for people to come in and help us clear the site, and we literally had hundreds of people who showed up and just reveled in what they were doing, and they are sort of chomping at the bit for the next site just because they had so much fun. There's something about ripping out bad plants that inspires people.
The original purchase of Fort Williams was an amazingly forward-thinking and visionary effort. And I think that this Arboretum that they are now creating in Fort Williams is going to be just that kind of forward-thinking and visionary effort.
Nowadays, I'm in 8th grade, and all the boys and most of the girls are always on Facebook or video games. And I always say I go outside, and they're like, oh, that's weird. And so it's kind of crazy that they don't really go outside or do anything like that, but if there's a place that actually interested them, then it might be cool. And in Portland, there's a few parks, but there's not like enough to really enjoy it, and if you're out here, you can just see for miles the ocean in the park.
We need a place to sort of as a retreat and to collect our thoughts and to just be out in nature.
True inspiration is to have a place saved that people can come, they can come here for free and see a little bit of everything from the history of the harbor to many of the plants that are coastal plants. So, and that continues to inspire me to this day.